So what is the engagement logic map? It's a framework that can help you organize and synthesize your research and knowledge of your prospects and clients in a streamlined and logical way. This will allow you to craft messaging that will be relevant to the prospect or client's current circumstances, problems, and goals. The engagement logic map consists of 5 key components, and you will see this in your course material that we have provided. You will find a detailed outline describing what categories you can organize all of your information into. But let's review this together for some added context. The first component is macroeconomic conditions. This considers whether the macroeconomy and industry that the prospect or client is operating in is strong or weak economically. This can be indicative of whether they are likely focused on growth efforts or cost cutting. Is this an environment that companies are aggressively trying to land new customers in, or is it one in which the focus is likely on retention of customers and keeping as much revenue as they possibly can? Ask yourself, what type of messaging is appropriate given these circumstances? Use this to guide you as to what type of messaging will likely resonate and what will be a flop. In a strong economy, emphasize growth opportunities and expansion possibilities each persona is likely targeting. Or on the other hand, in a weak economy, highlight cost savings, efficiency, and stability that the persona would be focused on. The next component is company performance. This helps to highlight if the company is having strong or declining performance. Has the company highlighted missed targets in their annual report? Or if it's a startup, have they successfully closed another round of funding at a higher valuation, or are they struggling and resorting to a down round? When a company has strong performance, some effective messaging could focus on collaboration opportunities to focus on ongoing growth, innovation, and using this period of growth to gain a competitive advantage. On the other hand, if a company is experiencing declining performance, address pain points of decline in a tactful manner. Offer solutions for performance improvement, revenue retention, and cost-saving measures. Next, consider and take into account industry compliance changes. If a client or prospect's company operates in a highly compliant industry, or if there are compliance and security laws, regulations, and standards that they must adhere to, think about how this will affect aspects of their business and how they operate. This allows us to categorize our information into whether compliance is a potential problem or opportunity, whether a company is compliant or not compliant, and what risks this poses to the client or prospect that we want to work with. It could also be the case that our solution has no impact on any compliance or regulatory changes at all. However, if there is a material change that the company you are engaging with is facing, the reality might be that you will not be a priority. If this is a prospect, it will be extremely important to assess the trigger and the priority level. For clients, it is important to assess how this could divide the attention of your stakeholders and potentially even require budget changes. Look for direct and indirect consequences. So in this case, if your solution does tie to compliance regulations, highlight the benefits of adherence to regulations. Showcase industry expertise through addressing specific ICP and persona problems. If your prospect or client is non-compliant, then emphasize the importance of compliance. Offer solutions to ensure adherence and share knowledge and solutions on risk mitigation options. If there is no direct impact your solution has on compliance, then as I mentioned earlier, identify priorities and be honest if you can address why now. Is this the appropriate time to solve this particular problem that you can solve for them? For sales, if the answer is no, then this is an indication to nurture this prospect and not qualify them as an opportunity quite yet. For a client, this may have implications on your customer engagement that you may need to navigate. Next up, we want to assess the competitive landscape. This is where you can document key information on whether the company is operating in a competitive or crowded market, or whether they are operating in a newer and less competitive market. If it's competitive, messaging that demonstrates your persona's challenges, and positioning not just your product, but you as a trusted advisor within the industry and with expertise can help make you stand out. Additionally, sharing how your solution can help them gain a competitive advantage in a crowded market has a chance of resonating as well. If your prospect or client is operating in a newer and less competitive market, then use messaging that educates and provokes a new way of thinking. Overcome cautiousness and resistance to new technology. Demonstrate the consequences of staying with status quo and validate with customer stories and provable ROI. And last but not least, in the case of existing clients, we of course need to take into account customer health when we're putting together any sort of messaging or engagement plan. For healthy customers, consider reiterating impact to date and position valid additional adoption opportunities that will help them to achieve even more impact. Align your solutions to identified business and stakeholder priorities as a value add, not as a sell. If you are sharing how you can help them solve another problem and achieve another goal, you will be seen as helpful and as a trusted advisor, and not like you are trying to sell something to them just for your own gain. On the other hand, if your customer is at risk, then diagnose the root cause of any issues and why they are at risk. Prioritize addressing issues and dissatisfaction first. In the messaging and engagement, lead with solving their existing problems to regain trust. Identify business goals and guide them towards how you can help them achieve these goals as trust is being rebuilt. Don't lead with expansion opportunities and messaging in this case. If you've identified a potential opportunity with an at-risk client, not all is lost. Use the time that you have with them to discover broader business challenges and goals. When people are frustrated, they will often vent and share more details once you've rebuilt trust with them. This is where you can turn issues into opportunities. You just have to be patient, methodical, and engage wisely. Now that you have a framework to organize your research, you can start to decipher the signal through the noise and identify key themes that would be relevant to various stakeholders and personas.